Good day, everyone. The topic that I'm going to discuss was all about the legend of the founding of Rome. Rome has an extraordinary history with crumbling ruins and epic artifacts within the city's walls. It's hard to learn everything about Rome in one go. The foundation of Rome is still not absolutely known as it was thousands of years ago on the 21st century of April 753 BCE. But there has been numerous myths and legends on the city's birth. According to the legend, ancient Rome was founded by two brothers and demigods, Romulus and Remus, on the 21st of April 753 BCE. The legend claims that in an argument over who would rule the city, or in another version, where the city would be located, Romulus killed Remus and named the city after himself. In the ancient times, Roman children were all told the story of how Romulus and Remus were cast adrift in a basket on the Tiber River by their wicked grandfather. Their grandfather was a wicked king who ordered them to be drowned so they would not inherit his throne. When Romulus and Remus grew up, they overthrew the wicked king who tried to kill them. Then the twins built a city where the mother wolf had found them. According to the myth, before the city was completed, the brothers had an argument and Romulus killed Remus. After the city was built, Romulus named it after himself, calling it Rome. Another legend had arisen who claimed that Rome was named after a woman who named Roma, who traveled with Aeneas and the other survivors from the Troy after that city fell. Upon landing on the banks of the Tiber River, Roma and the other women objected when the men wanted to move on. She led the women in the burning of the Trojan ships and so effectively stranded the Trojan survivors at the site which would eventually become Rome.
Hi everyone, before we will start our new topic, is there any clarification or violent reaction regarding to the first quarter? If there's none, without further ado, let's start for a new topic, which is the emergence of the Roman Empire. Emergence of the Roman Empire, Octavian became the master of the Roman world. Roman Senate appointed him and proclaimed himself as the first emperor in the 31st BC. Also, Roman Senate conferred on him the name Augustus. Augustus introduced a good government into empire. He appointed Annas an efficient official, removed corruption and unworthy official. He improved the system of taxation. He drained a swamp, built a road and aqueducts, promote agriculture and commerce. He built Rome with beautiful and magnificent marble edifices such as temple, palaces, bath, and theater. He proudly says, "I found Rome a city of bricks. I left a city of marble." 21st century emperor and his staff become corrupt, led them to be crazy and irresponsible to their power. Emperor Tiberius left Rome and went to Capri, Italy. His successor Caligula has his horse elected consul. Nero started persecution of Christians and the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. Expectedly, the office of Rome is insecure. In 69 AD, no fewer than 3 emperors came and went after being murdered. This time, I will introduce to you the 4 good emperors. They are Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus, and Marcus Aurelius. First, let's talk about Trajan, a military commander born in Spain, not the aristocrat of Rome. Stand the boundaries of the empire to the east, undertook a vast building programs and enlarged social welfare. He also remembered for Trajan's Column, an innovative work of art that commemorated his Dacian wars. Second emperor, he is Hadrian the Spaniard. He rebuilt the Pantheon, which been destroyed by fire. The third one, he is Antoninus. He gave Rome firm and kind rule, which earned him the title of Pius. After serving as consul in Enzo, Antoninus was assigned by the Emperor Hadrian to assist judicial administration in Italy. And now, the fourth one is Marcus Aurelius, known as emperor, writer, and philosopher of Stoic school. All of them brought relative peace and prosperity of the Rome. At this time, let's talk about the period of Rome grandeur. First, it is the period of Pax Romana or Roman peace. All of the nation enjoyed the fruit of peace. No civil wars, bloody feuds, and riots. Second, there was an economic prosperity. In this, Rome produced a bountiful products. The third one, a government directed by able and responsible officials, meaning having faithful, responsible, and honest officials. Lastly, social life is full of bloom. In this, Roma's talent and skill are developed and promoted. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Hope you learned something new and God bless us all.
Thank you, Miss Catalan. Hello everyone, I am Vince Ivan Virilio and I am the third reporter of our report, and I will report about Roman civilization. So where once the Roman Empire was the strong, it eventually broke it down due to internal conflicts and attacks by outsiders. As a result, around the 5th century AD, the Western Empire was eventually broken up into independent kingdoms, including Africa, Britannia, Gaul, and Hispania. Rome was known to have a large number of monuments and structures. Anyone who visits Rome should make time to see the famous Pantheon, the Forum of Trajan, and the Colosseum. The city also had various aqueducts that supplied drinking water for the wonderful fountains. The imperial palaces and the residences were located on the Palatine Hill, while the lower classes of the society lived in the city center, characterized by residence buildings and insulated. In later years, Roman authors began to experiment with various different genres, including tragedies, history, comedy, and even poetry. Ancient Roman sculptures started out using classical proportions, which soon was replaced by a mixture of idealism and realism. During the period of Severan and Antonin, the sculptures showcase ornately designed beards and hairstyles. Relief sculptures which depicted the victories of the Roman emperors were also quite common. Music in ancient Rome, like much of the culture, was influenced by the Greeks. An important part of Roman life, music came from diverse instruments like the camo and tuba, used for military commands, and the litos and trumpets for use during ceremonies. Almost all of Rome's religious ceremonies and rituals included music performances of some kind. Cymbals, pipes, rattles, and tambourines were also widely used. So since my report is already detailed, if you read it, you will easily understand it. And that concludes my report about Roman civilization. Thank you for listening, and let's move on to the next reporter.
So hello everyone, I am Sofia Ramirez and I'm here now to report to you the Roman Empire crumbles. So first is the Germanic invasions. As you can see on the pictures, in AD 370 the Huns fierce Mongol nomadic invaders from the steppes. So move into the northern border of the Roman Empire, pushing the German into Roman lands. So the Western Empire did not have enough troops to stop the Germans, so in 410, Germans fled into Rome. Next is the Attila the Hun. In 444, the Han first united under the rule of their powerful leader Attila. Attila and his 100,000 soldiers became a threat to both the Western and Eastern empires. He destroyed 70 cities but did not terrorize Rome or Constantinople. So, lastly, is the fall of the Western Empire. After the final Emperor Romulus Augustus was driven out by the German forces, the western half of the Roman Empire disappeared, leaving behind only its ideas, custom, and institution. So, as you can see on the picture, it is Romulus Augustus, the emperor, or the final emperor. So to conclude, and a recap also, first is the Germanic invasions in AD 370. The Empire did not have enough troops to stop Germans, so 410 Germans fled into Rome. And second is Attila the Hun in 444. Attila had 100,000 soldiers. Both Western and Eastern empires threat of this, so he destroyed 70 cities, but he did not destroy the Rome or Constantinople. And last is what I've mentioned is the fall of the Western Empire. The final emperor Romulus Augustus, leaving behind only its ideas, custom, and institutions. Uh, Next slide. So here are the additional information of Roman Empire crumbles. So who is considered Rome's greatest poet? It was Virgil. So as you can see on the right side, the black and white picture is Virgil. Christianity has its beginning in the Roman province of Judea. Constantine made Christianity a legally recognized faith that helped spread Christianity. Christian communities spread across the Roman world, but all followed a clearly defined theology. So, as you can observe, the Christianity was really active on the Roman Empire. A lack of strong leadership was a problem that the Roman Empire faced after AD 200. So on this slide, Diocletian divided the empire into two sections in an attempt to address the problems the Roman Empire was facing. So as you can see on the first photo, I believe that it was on 395 AD, the Roman Empire was divided into two sections. And next is invading tribes of barbarians was the primary reason that the Roman Empire fell. Next, ideas about law is considered Rome's greatest legacy. And next is the Roman emperors hosted entertainment and gave away free grain, oil, and wine to keep Roman citizens happy. Invention of the dome and concrete are examples of Roman achievements. So as you can see on uh, the picture, the dome, the very famous dome, you can I believe that it is common to some of you because it was already it was been picture out on the movies, like the reference to Roman era or Roman ancient Roman. So last is Paul is the first disciple of Christian movement, but then later traveled to preach Jesus' message. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am tasked to represent my report about the spread of Christianity throughout Europe. Christianity began in its spread north and west into Europe, carried by merchants, missionaries, and soldiers. As a result, in 313, the Edict of Milan was passed, which granted freedom of religion throughout the Roman Empire, ending the persecution of Christians. And During the early Middle Ages, most of Europe underwent Christianization, a process essentially complete with the Baltic Christianization in the 15th century. Christianity is the largest religion in Europe. Christianity has been practiced in Europe since the 1st century, and a number of Pauline epistles were addressed to Christians living in Greece, as well as other parts of Roman Empire. During the early Middle Ages, the Roman Catholic Church expanded into northern Europe and spread Catholicism among the Germanic peoples. Catholic Christianity reached the Vikings and other Scandinavians in later centuries. Since at least the legalization of Christianity by the Roman Emperor Constantine in the 4th century, Europe has been an important center of Christian culture. Even though the religion was inherited from the Middle East and important Christian communities have thrived outside Europe, such as Oriental Orthodox and the Church of the East since the time of Christ. There are three main branches of Christianity distributed in Europe. Most Europeans adhere to one of three broad divisions of Christianity. Number 1, Roman Catholicism in West and Southwest. Number 2, Protestant in the North. Number 3, Eastern Orthodox in the East and the Southeast. The spread of Christianity was made a lot easier by efficiency. Although Jesus had died, his message had not. Word of his teaching spread to Jewish communities across the empire. Christianity began in the 1st century AD, after Jesus died and resurrected. A small group of Jewish people in Judea, but quickly spread throughout the Roman Empire. Despite early persecution of Christians, it later became the state religion. In the Middle Ages, it spread into Northern Europe and Russia.
So hello again, I am Sofia Ramirez and I am to report the Roman contributions to civilization. The Roman Empire was one of the greatest empires and one of the most influential civilizations of all time. Such historical importance can be attributed to being the largest marvel. The importance of the Roman Empire is shaping the world's history is nothing but significant. The Roman Empire was the fierce at war, but it was also pioneer of technical development and many inventions. First is Roman numerals. We are all familiar with this because you can we've thought about it. We can see it everywhere. For example, in a clock. And Roman numerals have survived the downfall of Roman Empire and are still in use today. So what I mentioned, we can see it on a clock or a um, design. And next is Romans were always excellent when it comes to civil engineering, but it isn't the Colosseum of beautiful arcs where they showed their complexity and knowledge in the trade. You can see their engineering excellence in the way they have laid out their sewage and sanitary plumbing. So in the picture, you can see it. Their inventions was really developed today. And second is Romans weren't just about spears and dagger, as they also pioneered in precision instruments that give birth to many modern day surgical tools. So they are recognized that they are the first to use the tools on surgical. To have a slight idea about surgical skills of the Romans, know that the cesarean section was actually devised in Rome. So take note of that. Cesarean section was actually the device in Rome. Roman Empire weren't just knee on using such tools in hospitals or medical centers. They were intrigued to know that such tools could also become helpful to soldiers who have been injured in battles there and then. So the picture are the tools as you can see on the slide. Next is developing concrete to strengthen Roman buildings. It is something that decorates the land of modern world. Concrete was developed by the Romans to add structure integrity to their building. Soon, this substance gained widespread usage, and it is one of the reasons why most of the Roman buildings stand tall even today. So, in Rome, it's very popular that they have the building that very historical. Uh, Next is the Roman developed and mastered the use of concrete. They effectively constructed arc, domes, columns, and underground Italy system with concrete application. The baths in sophisticated underground utility networks throughout the empire. They constructed temples, private villas, government and commercial building, public baths, stadiums, theater, and arenas of all sizes. The Romans were by the far the master builders of an ancient world. Two of their most famous structures in the Rome itself are the ruins of the Circus Maximus. So take note of that also. It was ruins of the Circus Maximus and the legendary of Colosseum. So it was folded there. Many Roman buildings are still in use today. So they also serve as objects of admiration for tourists through ages. So on the last slide, the Romans were able to build sewers, plumbing, and hot and cold sources, heated baths, and sophisticated, as what I've mentioned, and underlined there or bolded there that Circus Maximus and the legendary Colosseum. So there are more that Romans contributed to civilizations. These are just some of the important information that we have to know in the Roman contributions to civilization. I hope that you've learned from us. Thank you and God bless us all.